जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन। नंदन व्रज जन रंजन। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। न तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे रामा राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। श्रीमद् भागवत पुराण की जय। श्रीमद् भागवतम। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमस्परिचार्य अष्टोत्तर डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरण भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमस्परिचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्रीमद् भक्तिवेदांत सरस्वती महाराज की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। श्रीमद् भागवत पुराण की जय। समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू असेंबल ड्यूटीज, ऑल ग्लोरीज टू असेंबल ड्यूटीज, ऑल ग्लोरीज टू असेंबल ड्यूटीज, ऑल ग्लोरीज टू श्री गुरु एंड गौरंगा। जय गौर प्रेमानंद। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. The title is Krishna Pleases His Devotee. Canto 10, Chapter 48, Text 20. Yata hi bhuteshu chara achareshu Yata hi bhuteshu chara achareshu Mahi uddhayo yonisho bhanti nanam Dhaya yonisho Mai adhaya yonishu bhanti nanam एवं भवन केवल आत्मयोनिषु एवं भवन केवल आत्मयोनिषु एवं भवन केवल आत्मयोनि आत्मा आत्मा तंत्रो बहुधा विभाति आत्मा आत्मा तंत्रो बहुधा विभाति यता हि भूतेषु चर अचरेषु मायि अधायो योनिषु भन्ति नाना एवं भावन केवल आत्मयोनिषु आत्मा आत्मा तंत्रो बहुधा विभाति यता हि भूतेषु चराचरेषु माहि अधायो योनिषु भन्ति नाना एवं भावन केवल आत्मयोनिषु आत्मा आत्मा तंत्रो बहुधा विभाति. Word to word meaning. Yatha, as he, indeed, bhuteshu, among manifested beings, chara, mobile, achareshu, and immobile, mahi adaya, earth and so on, the primary elements of creation. Earth and so on, the primary elements of creation. Yonishu, in species. Bhanti, manifest. Nana, variously. Evam, so. Bhavan, you. Kevala, one alone. Atma, yourself. Yonishu, in those whose source. Atma, the Supreme Soul. Atma Tantra, self-reliant. Bahuda, manifold. Vibhati, appear. Translation. Just as the primary elements, earth and so on, manifest themselves in abundant variety among all the species of mobile and immobile life, so you, the one independent Supreme Soul, appears to be manifold among the variegated objects of your creation. This is a very interesting topic. The title is Krishna Pleases His Devotee. And these are the prayers of Akrura. He says, just as the primary elements, earth and so on, manifest themselves in abundant variety among all species of mobile and immobile life, so you are the one independent Supreme Soul appeared to manifold among the variegated objects of your creation. So, material elements, Mahatattva, and then the material elements, they're made of 5 elements: earth, water, fire, ether. Yes, yeah. As the primary as earth, so and on manifest themselves in abundant variety among all species of mobile and immobile. So there are many varieties of species of life, the movable and immovable, like the trees. They cannot move; they stand in one place. Then 8,400,000 species of life: birds, aquatics, reptiles, and then human beings. So you, the one independent Supreme Soul, appear to manifest among the variegated objects of your creation. But the Lord is so kind, He appears as the Super Soul in variegated. So there are varieties in this material world. Variety is the mother of enjoyment. So we see in this material world, city is a place of passion, whereas forest is considered goodness. So people act under this different nature. In city, they are very passionate. We see people in the city, they all run after material happiness, passion like that. We can see, especially in the summer, we can see it. We are in US, so here, but here it says, it's wonderful, like Prahlad Maharaj is praying uh, when Narad Muni said, he wanted, he told, I was looking for a piece of glass, but I found the Lord. First, he was interested in his father's kingdom, his grandfather's kingdom. He wanted a kingdom like that. But when he saw the Lord, he did not want any other material elements like that. He became disgusted, material way of life. And another instance we hear in from Bhagavatam, Prahlad Maharaj. So, sorry, Dhruv Maharaj and there's Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj was not interested in material way of life. He did not want to waste a moment of lifetime. He says, what's the use of millions of dollars cannot purchase a moment of life? Human life is meant to know God. After traveling so much species of life, human life is very rare. Human life is an opportunity. One should not misuse this opportunity life. So after traveling many other species of life, birds, aquatics, reptiles, we get this very rare human species of life. And Srimad Bhagavad Gita also says that this material world is a place of miseries, is temporary and full of miseries. And human life is meant to get out of this repeated cycle of birth, old age, disease, and death. So repeatedly it is going on: birth, death, old age, and disease. Human life is an opportunity to get out of this. So these are the wonderful teachings. Here we can see Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuttapada Kamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavam Cha Sri Rupam Sagrachatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Samskivam Sadvaitam Saudutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Pada Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitam Sam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishwanusubdevi Pranamami Hari Priye. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Vancha kalpatarupyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavyo namo namah. It's a very beautiful topic. This prayers of Akrura. In this chapter, especially, two is mentioned about how Kubja, her name is Trivakra, how she pleased the Lord. She dressed her, she cleansed up very nicely. She wore nice ornaments, and she offered Lord a seat and offered sandalwood paste just by offering this. She kept herself clean and she offered sandalwood paste. She offered respects to the Lord, offered her obeisances. And in this, we can see Akrura. Akrura, by glorifying Krishna, he attained perfection. He offered obeisances to the Lord. He glorified the Lord with prayers, and he attained perfection just by glorifying the Lord. He also offered his obeisance and he prayed to the Lord, "You are the cause of all creation, maintenance and dissolution. You are the supreme cause of all causes. I offer my respectful obeisance to you." Akrura attained perfection by glorifying the Lord. So these are very nice, wonderful prayers of Akrura. So we can see here this before previous chapters it was about the gopis, how they were very attached to Krishna 24/7, thinking of Krishna in all circumstances. So that's what very exalted devotee, pure devotional services. And Akrura, Kubja offered a nice ointment. She bathed her very nicely. She cleaned herself very nicely. And she approached the Lord with beautiful ornaments. How when we approach the Lord, there's cleanliness, external cleanliness, internal cleanliness. Then she offered a sandalwood paste, very nice, and the Lord was pleased. She offered obeisances. And Akrura, he offered his obeisances and glorified the Lord, being the cause of all causes. And he prayed with wonderful prayers to the Lord. So an pure devotee, a Brahmana, exalted Vaishnava, that's why we say, Yakshaksha dharitvena samasta shastre yuktas tata bhavyateva sadvi. He should worship as a representative of God. One should not commit an offense at the lotus feet of a very exalted devotee who is absorbed in Krishna consciousness, so, who knows this movable, everything is, like we say, we have a nice picture, Brahma, he sees, and very exalted devotee sees the supreme super soul in everyone's heart. So here, this translation is says, as the primary elements, earth and so on manifest themselves in abundant variety among all species of mobile and immobile life. The primary elements, earth and so on, manifest themselves in abundant variety among all species of mobile and immobile life. So there's moving and immoving life. There are trees and there are variety species of life. So variety is the mother of enjoyment. So we see in the city is passion. We see everywhere people are running here and there. The streets are full. All other places. So according to passion, their enjoyment is different. But devotees' enjoyment is glorifying the Lord, hearing about the Lord. Like he's giving the example of Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj did not want to waste a moment of time, and he wanted to become, because he says this human life is very rare. After traveling so much species of life, we get this human form of life. And human life is meant to know God. One should not waste a moment of life. And Dhruv Maharaj's example is given. He was looking after a piece of glass. He wanted some material benediction. But when he saw the Lord, he became disgusted with material way of life. So Srimad Bhagavatam, and now we here see of Akrura, his wonderful prayers. He says the primary elements, earth and so on, manifest themselves in abundant variety among all the species of life, of mobile and immobile life. So you are one, you the one independent supreme soul, appear to be manifold among the variegated objects of your creation. The Lord appears as a super soul within every living entities, within material creation also. Yeah, it says like this. The Lord is lying on the ocean, Garbhodaya Vishnu, and from his navel, lotus comes, and from the lotus, Brahma is born. Brahma is known as Swayambhu. He self-manifested. And Brahma created progeny, and he wanted them to to create more population. But the four Kumaras, they wanted to lead a celibate life. They did not want to entangle in this material view of life. And they perform austerities, and they attain perfection like that. So these different examples, Dhruv Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, and here Akrura, and the four Kumaras. So human life is meant for purification of existence to know God. That's the perfection of life. So even everybody can advance if he studies the science of God. And how to understand God, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam is explained very nicely. It says, Kaumaram Acharit Prajna. From childhood, one should take this. Yesterday, we had nice children programs. They were cooking for the Lord. That's the way of perfection. That says, one should not become a mother, one should become a father, one should not become a guru. If he cannot deliver his dependence from the cycle of repeated birth and death. So high stage, one should not become a spiritual master also, it says. It's wonderful, this. See, in this first chapter, in the first only this it says, Sri Akrura said, I bow down to you, the cause of all causes, the original and inexhaustible Supreme Person Narayana. From the wool of the lotus, born from your navel, Brahma appeared. And by his agency, this universe has come into being. So here Akrura is bringing wonderful prayers. In this first chapter, first verse, it says, he's offering all respects to the Lord. He is understanding Krishna is the source of everything, material as well as spiritual. So there is exterior energy and there is inferior energy. And the living entities are the marginal, they are wanting to lord over nature. They think that's the doer, but everything is, the cause is, the supreme cause is the Lord. So he says, so Akrura is saying, he is not the doer actually. Like the king, he is maintaining his citizens. Right? Creation, maintenance, and annihilation. Like that. So king is maintaining the citizens. He thinks him the doer actually. And it's maintained very nicely. And then annihilated by different elements, by time or snakes like that. So that's creation, maintenance. Yeah, so yeah, the original and ignorant Supreme Person Narayana, from the wool of the lotus born, from your navel, Brahma appeared. So from the Lord's navel, lotus appeared, and from that lotus, Brahma appeared. And Brahma, this universe he created. He is self-born. He is not born of ordinary mother and father. There was a lotus from the Vishnu, and in that lotus he was born. There are many self-manifested deities in India also, very ancient temples. If you visit India, we'll see that. It's very beautiful deities. There was a lotus from the Vishnu, and in that lotus he was born. Therefore he is called Swayambhu, self-born. There he was lotus from Vishnu, and in that lotus he was born. Therefore it's called Swayambhu. Shambhu is another name of Lord Shiva. Swayambhu, Narada, Shambhu, Kumara, Kapilu, Munakupura. The Supreme Person of Godhead is master and proprietor of everything, is certainly not interested in the temporary cosmic manifestation. It's wonderful. The Lord creates, but he's not interested. The living entities want to enjoy in this material world. So you want to go back to Godhead or back to different species of life. It's up to us now. Ye thamam prapadyante. Otherwise, you can go to repeated cycle of birth and death again in different species, birds, aquatics, reptiles, and this human form of life. But human life is meant to get out of this repeated cycle of birth and death, back home, back to Godhead. The Supreme Person of Godhead, the master and proprietor of everything, is certainly not interested in the temporary cosmic manifestation. So the Lord is not interested. He is the master, he is the proprietor. But in the meanwhile, the living entity thinks him to the master, enjoy, proprietor. But actually, Lord is the proprietor. And he's not interested in this temporary cosmic manifestation. It says it's not intelligence to aspire for some material thing. If he wants both spiritual as well material, it says it's not a good sign like that. It's not good intelligence, it says. It says Supreme Personal Godhead is the master and proprietor of everything. Is certainly not interested in the temporary cosmic manifestation. Nonetheless, just as a boy at the beach creates something which is not interested. So a nice example is given. We all have example. When we were young, we used to play on the seashore or sand. To make a house like that. So the example is given. The Lord is the master. He is the proprietor. But he is not interested in this creation. He is temporary. The example is given as a boy at the beach creates something which is not interested. The Lord, keeping everything under his control, causes creation, maintenance, and annihilation. But everything is under the control of Lord. But he is not interested. He creates, maintains, and annihilates. So we heard of before that example of Brahma. Brahma was given the charge of creation. And next we heard about the Lord. He is the master, he is the proprietor. But he is not interested in temporary existence. Then we heard the example, a child is building a house on the shore. He is not interested in, but still he knows that the shore waves takes it away. The Lord, keeping everything under his control, causes creation, maintains, and annihilation. He creates by engaging a father to beget a son. Very wonderful. He creates by engaging a father to beget a son. So everything there is a cause. Like if there is a son, there is a father. It doesn't come automatically in material creation like that. So the Lord is he creates by engaging father to beget a son. He maintains by engaging a government or king to see the public welfare. How this? But the politicians, they think they are the doer. But here it says, he maintains by engaging a government or king to see the public welfare. And he annihilates to agents for killing such as snakes and so on and so on. Annihilates to the agents. So three things. He creates, he maintains, and annihilates. The example is given of a boy making house in the sun on the shore. Then the example is given, he creates by engaging a father to beget a son's creation example. Then he engages a government or a king to see the public welfare. Annihilates through agents for killing such as snakes like that. The agents for creation, maintenance, annihilation have no independent potency. So is creation, maintenance, no independent potency. But because of the spell of the illusory energy, one thinks himself the creator, mentor, and annihilator. So in the meanwhile, the conditioned soul thinks he is the doer, everything is done by him. But actually, here it says, the agents for creation, maintenance, and annihilation have no independent potency. Like Srila Prabhupada said, this movement will go on for 10,000 years. It's beyond our limited perception. Right? The movement is going all over the world. How it's going on is wonderful. Krishna is doing through different this. But the movement will be gone. What Krishna wants it like that. He maintains by engaging a government or king to see the public welfare, annihilates to the agents for killing such as snakes. The agents for certain creation maintenance have no independent potency. But because of the spell of the illusory energy, one thinks himself the creator, mentor, annihilator. But because of the spell of the illusory energy, one thinks himself the creator, maintainer, and annihilator. Even our hand, we don't know how we put the food in the mouth and how it gets digested. Even the hand is moving because it's a mercy of the Lord. Krishna. It says here, agents for creation maintains and have no independent potency. Before we give the example, like the creator, like the example of a king, a father is getting a son, begetting a son, create, and then we give an example, government or king is seeing the public's welfare, it maintains, and killing through different agents, like next example is given of snake here. But due to the agents of creation, no independent, but because of the spell of the illusion energy, one thinks himself the creator, maintainer, and annihilator. No one can independently create, maintain, or annihilate. Bhagavad Gita therefore says, Prakriti kriyamanani gune karmani sarvasha ahankar vibudatma kartam iti manyate. The bewildered soul, under the influence of the three modes of material nature, thinks himself the doer of activities that are actually carried out by nature. Prakriti kriyamanani gune karma. So, yeah. Viewers under the influence three modes of material nature thinks himself doer of activities that are actually carried out by nature. Prakriti, material nature, as described by the Supreme Person, induces all living entities to create, maintain, or annihilate according to the modes of nature. This is true, the agent of material nature, directed by the Supreme Lord, induces all living entities to create, maintain, or annihilate according to the modes of nature. But the living entity without knowledge of the Supreme Person cannot do. So this is one, creation, maintenance, and annihilation, and different species of life, 8,400,000 species of life. There are trees, birds, aquatics, reptiles. So yes, it says, it's wonderful. Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter. So there are two, the super soul. There is a super soul and we, the living entity. The example is given of two birds. One bird is eating the fruit and one is watching, as the Lord is watching. The living entity is enjoying suffering the results of his act. But somehow it turns to the Lord, he becomes free from suffering. So in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita it says, I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who knows this perfectly engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. So that's the essence. One has to surrender to the Lord and one should engage in the service of the Lord with wholehearted. Everything is creation of the Lord, material as well as everything emanates from the Lord. The wise who knows this perfectly engages in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. One should not think himself the doer. Actually, everything is done by the Lord. One should be understand very tiny this. I am the source of all spiritual and material world. Everything emanates from me. The wise who knows this perfectly, says perfectly, engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. So different examples we heard about Prahlad Maharaj, we heard about Dhruv Maharaj, we heard about Akrura's wonderful prayers, then the 4 Kumaras. And now from Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds, everything emanates from me. Then we heard about creation, maintenance, and annihilation. And this is one of the verses from, I am the originate fountain of everything, what is being produced. Similarly, the soul is fragmental portion of Krishna. So now the modern Sadhya will look at the point, where from energies are coming, that point is there. That fragmental portion of Krishna is there in the heart, that is Brahman. So in this verse it says, I am the original source of spiritual matter, everything emanates from me. And those who are wise, they engage in the devotional service and worship with all their hearts. And then Srila Prabhupada says, I am the original fountain of everything what is being produced. It is from me. Similarly, the soul is a fragmental. The soul is very small, tiny part. Fragmental portion of Krishna. So now, the modern scientists, they have localized the point where from the energies are coming. Now that point is there. That fragment portion of Krishna is there in the heart. That is Brahman. The soul is a very minute. It is within every living entities. And from that fragment, so Brahman means this fragment, and the Supreme Brahman. What was the question? Super soul is Krishna. I am you are soul, we are Jiva, and the Supreme Soul is Krishna. Super Soul is the Supreme Lord. Super Soul is there. They are situated together. So there is the soul and the super soul. From the Vedic Upanishad, we get this information that two birds are sitting on one tree. The one bird is eating the fruits and the other bird is simply witness. So witnessing bird is the super soul, and bird which is enjoying and suffering of this material contamination or attachment, that is soul. It is. So these two examples very nice given. Witnessing bird is the super soul, and the bird which is enjoying and suffering of this material contamination, that is the soul. He is still more higher. You are the super soul is also partial representative of Krishna. Just like sun, the real sun and the reflection of sun. If you got thousands of pots in your presence, you'll find the reflection of the sun in thousands of pots. But the real sun is one. So the example is given of the sun. If there are thousands of pots, we can find the reflection of in all pots. So it says here, the super soul is also partial representation of Krishna. So there's the Lord, there's a super soul, there's a soul. He says yes, super soul is also partial represent Krishna. Just like the sun, the real sun and the reflection of sun. If you have got thousands of parts in your presence, you'll find the reflection of the sun in thousands of parts. But the real sun is one. Similarly, the super soul is the reflection of the reality, partial reflection of the Supreme. The super soul is the reflection of the reality, partial reflection of the Supreme. He says the super soul is the reflection of the reality, partial reflection of the Supreme. Just like you're standing here at noon, the sun is on your hand, and 5,000 miles away you inquire from somebody, where is sun? He will say, oh, it is on my head. 5,000 miles, this way or that way, any way you inquire. Many people, many thousands of people you inquire. They will say, everyone say, the sun is on my head. The first example is given, the sun. The example, the sun rays are in different pots. They are reflection of the sun. And then another example is given, the sun is on our head. If you ask somebody, person on other side of the planet, he will also say 5,000 miles. The sun is on his head. The sun is, similarly, although sun is one, he is pursued, he is present as everyone's head. Similarly, all Krishna is one without second, by the inconstant power, he can be present in everyone's heart. Krishna is one, by his inconceivable transit power, he can be present in everyone's heart. Akilatma bhuto goloka eva nisatmya akilatma. I worship Govinda, the primal Lord, residing in his own realm, Goloka, with Radha, resembling his own spiritual figure. The embodiment of ecstatic potency consists of 64 artistic activities in the company of Karna. Sakit. Ever blissful spiritual life. That is the power of Krishna. That is the power of super soul. We cannot. Suppose I am sitting here, you are sitting here. You are not at your home. I am not in India. I am sitting here. I cannot sit simultaneously in India and America. That is not possible for me because I am not super soul. But the super soul can be present everywhere. So the living entity may be knowing of his particular body, but the Lord knows of everything. The example is given here, like we are sitting here, and you are sitting here. You are not in your home. I am not in India, I am sitting here, but I cannot sit simultaneously in both places, India and America. Or I cannot sit in home as well here also. Because I am not super soul. But the super soul can be present everywhere. You will find in the Bhagavad Gita. We are discussing, when we 13th chapter is explained. So this is very nice explanation of the soul and the super soul. How the Lord expands himself as super soul and then living in as soul also. The example is given of two birds and the example of the sun is given in different pots. It's wonderful, interesting super soul, movable and immovable living entities. Yeah, this earth, water, fire, ether, the primary elements. There are 5 basic elements. It says primary elements. Nice. So everything is the energy of the Lord. One is spiritual, one is material. But that doesn't mean everything is Krishna. Yes. Very nice. This material world is composed of 5 principal elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. And all such elements are emanations from Krishna. It says this material world is composed of 5 principal elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. And all such elements are emanation from Krishna. The material scientists accept these 5 primary elements as the cause of the material manifestation. But the elements in their gross and substances are produced by Krishna. The living entities who are working within this material world are products of his marginal potency. In the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly stated that the whole manifestation is a combination of 2 kinds of energy of Krishna, the superior energy and the inferior energy. The living entities are the superior energy, and the dead material elements are its inferior energy. In its dormant stage, everything remains in Krishna. So whatever we see in this material cause, the opulence is Krishna. His example is given. This material world is composed of 5 principal elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. So where you see the material world is composed of these 5 elements. And they are all emanations from Krishna. And nobody can create water, nobody can create fire, It's all the energy emanations from Krishna, it says here. The material scientists accept these 5 primary elements as the cause of the material manifestation. So the example is given, this scientists, they accept these elements. But the elements in the gross and subtle states are produced by Krishna. So this is a gross body which is made of elements. Then there is a subtle, it says, these both are produced by Krishna. The living entities who are working within this material world are products of his marginal potency. That me, the living entities, they are products of marginal potency. In the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, it is clear that the whole manifestation is a combination of 2 kinds of energy: Krishna, the superior energy, and the inferior energy. The living entities are the superior energy, and the dead material elements are inferior energy. So the 2 energies, there is superior energy and there is inferior energy. So inferior energy is the material elements, they are dead elements. So in its dormant stage, everything remains clear. The demons offer their respect prayers unto the supreme form of the person Godhead by analytical study of the material manifestation. So we see these different examples. The very exalted devotees, they know how everything is the energy of the Lord. They see the living entity, they see as a super soul. There's Kanishta, Madhyam, Uttam Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari, and Kanishta Adhikari. Different stage. Uttam Adhikari sees the Lord, he sees Krishna everywhere, and everything is the product of Krishna, energy of Krishna. So here is it. What is this material manifestation? It's just like a tree. So what is this? Example is given of this material. It's just like a tree. A tree stands on the ground. Similarly, the tree of the material manifestation is standing on the ground of material nature. Similarly, the tree of the material manifestation is standing on the ground of material nature. This material manifestation is compared to a tree, because a tree is ultimately cut off in due course of time. A tree is called vriksha. Vriksha means that things which will be ultimately cut off. Therefore, this tree of the material manifestation cannot be accepted as the ultimate truth, because it's influenced by time. But Krishna's body is eternal. He accepted before the material manifestation. is existing while the manifestation continuing, and when it will be dissolved, will continue to exist. Therefore, only Krishna can be accepted as the absolute truth. This is very given example of a tree. A tree stands on the ground. Similar, the tree of the material manifest standing on the ground of material nature. This material manifest is compared to a tree because a tree is ultimately cut off in course of time. A tree is called vriksha. Vriksha means that thing which will be ultimately cut off. Therefore, this tree of this material manifestation cannot be accepted as the ultimate truth because it's influenced by time. But Krishna's body is eternal. So this, whatever you see in material aspect is temporary. But the living in the soul is eternal, knowledge and blissful. Material elements are temporary. Our knowledge is limited. So the example is given of a tree. The tree is compared to this material existence, and the tree will be cut off in time. But Krishna's body is eternal. He existed before the material, he is existing while the material is continuing, and when it will be dissolved, he will continue. Therefore, only Krishna can be accepted as the absolute truth. The Katha Upanishad also said, the example of the tree of this man, standing on the ground of material nature. The tree has two kinds of fruits, distress and happiness. Those who are living in the tree of the body are just like the two birds. One bird is the localized aspect of Krishna, known as the Paramatma. Another bird is the living entity. The living entity is eating the fruits of this material manifestation. Sometimes eats the fruits of happiness, and sometimes he eats the fruit of distress. Suppose one person is very knowledgeable in this life, or very wealthy, whatever, beautiful. But he cannot take his wealth along with him, or he cannot take his knowledge with him. He has to accept a body according to his activities. So here it says one bird is the localized aspect of Krishna known as the Paramatma, another bird is the living entity. The living entity is eating the fruits of this material manifestation. Sometimes he eats the fruits of happiness, and sometimes he eats the fruit of distress. But the other bird is not interested in eating the fruit of distress. Whatever it is form of life, it's actually suffering, it's temporary. But he thinks him to be happy. Like example, if you tie a dog, the leash and leave it, he's happy, but he's got a particular type of body. Actually, it's not in a good position. So but other bird is not interested in eating the fruits of distress or happiness because it's self-satisfied. The Katha Upanishad said that one bird on the tree of the body is eating the fruits and the bird is simply witnessing. The root of this tree extends in three directions. This means that the root of the tree is in the modes of nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance. The roots of this tree extend in three directions. This means that the root of the tree is the three modes of material nature, goodness, passion, ignorance. Just as the tree roots expand, so by association of the modes of nature, material nature, goodness, passion, ignorance, one expands its duration of material existence. The taste of fruits are of four kinds: religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and ultimately liberation. According to the different association in the three modes of material nature, the living entities are tasting different kinds of religiosity, different kinds of economic development, different kinds of sense gratification, different kinds of liberation. Practically all material work is performed in ignorance because there are three qualities. Sometimes the quality ignorance is covered with goodness or passion. So it says here, whatever material activities, there are three qualities, but they are all in ignorance. Practically all material work is performed in ignorance. Prabhu also said, anyone who is in this material world is more or less crazy because he is acting under these three modes of nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. He identifies himself with this temporary body, which is a material product. Yeah. This Prabhu says, practically all material work is performed in ignorance. But because there are three qualities, sometimes the quality of ignorance is covered with goodness or passion. The taste of these material fruits is accepted through five senses. The five sense organs through which knowledge is acquired are subject to six kinds of whips: lamentation, illusion, infirmity, death, hunger, and thirst. This material body, this material manifestation is covered by 7 layers: skin, muscle, blood, marrow, bone, fat, and semen. The branches of the tree are 8: earth, water, fire, ether, mind, intelligence, and ego. There are 9 gates in this body: the 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, 2 ears, 1 mouth, 1 genital, 1 rectum. And there are 10 kinds of internal air passing within the body: prana, apana, udana, vyana, samana, etc. The 2 birds seated in this tree explained about living entity and the localized supreme personal Godhead. The root cause of the material man is described as the supreme personal Godhead. So this is very nice. See, it says practically all material work is performed in ignorance. But because there are 3 qualities, sometimes the quality of ignorance is covered with goodness or passion. The taste of these material fruits is accepted to 5 senses. The taste of these fruits are like 5 senses. There are sweet, there's many other. The eyes are seeing the form, ear the sound. The 5 sense organs through which knowledge is acquired. So one is working senses, one is knowledge acquiring senses. Through the eyes we see, ear like that. The 5 senses are subject to 6 kinds of vicks. They are lamentation, illusion, infirmity, death, hunger, and thirst. This material body or the material man is covered by 7 layers. So this man is covered by 7 layers. There's skin, there's muscle, there's blood, there's marrow, bone, fat, and semen. The branches of the tree are 8: earth, water, fire, ether, mind, intelligence, ego. This is very deep science, very science of Krishna consciousness. The gross body, the subtle body, and the material elements. It's very nicely explained here in this topic. There are 9 gates in this body: the 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, 2 ears, 1 mouth, 1 genital, 1 rectum. And there are 10 kinds of internal air passing within the body: prana, apana, udana, vyana, samana, etc. The 2 birds seated in this tree explained above are the living entity and the localized supreme person of God. The root cause of the material manifestation described here is the supreme personal Godhead. The supreme personal Godhead expands himself to take charge of the 3 qualities of the material world. Vishnu takes charge of the mode of goodness, Brahma takes charge of the mode of passion, Lord Shiva takes charge of the mode of ignorance, and Brahma by mode of creation this manifest. Lord Vishnu maintains the manifestation by the mode of goodness, and Lord Shiva annihilates it by the mode of ignorance. The whole creation ultimately rests in the Supreme Lord. He is the cause of the creation, maintenance, and dissolution. And when the whole manifestation is dissolved in its subtle form as energy, it rests within his body. It says the whole creation ultimately rests in the Supreme Lord. He is the cause of creation, maintenance, and dissolution. And the whole manifestation dissolved in this subtle form as energy, it rests within his body. So these are the prayers of the demigods to Krishna. They're very nicely explaining this material product. Ishvara Paramaha Krishna Sachidananda Vigranadiradir Govinda Sarvakarna Karna. So these are the few things, primary elements of the earth that manifest in different variety species of life. There are 8,004,000 species of life. There are birds, there are trees, there are aquatics, there are quadrupeds, then there's human form of life. There are movable living entities, and there are immovable living entities, and then the supreme soul, how he expands himself, and very educated objects of creation. This is a translation. Few topics we touched from Prabhu's lectures. There's a lot to go in this. Very too much is there, but we are sort of. It depends on each individual. Hare Krishna, Srimad Bhagavad Puran ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.